You gave her everything. Your time, your loyalty, your heart. You showed up when no one else did, and still, she walked away. You keep replaying every moment, asking, what did I do wrong? Maybe if you called more. Maybe if you had loved harder. But what if I told you it was never about what you did for her? Because here's the truth no one tells you. You can't make someone stay by proving your worth. The harder you try, the more invisible you become. You thought effort would equal loyalty, but the Stoics knew better. They said, pain is inevitable, but attachment is a choice. You gave everything, yet lost yourself in the process. And until you understand why, you'll keep loving in circles, chasing peace in the wrong direction. But what if loyalty has nothing to do with effort and everything to do with energy? You thought effort was the answer. You believed that if you just loved her right, stayed loyal, stayed consistent, she would finally see your value. You planned dates, sent flowers, texted good morning every single day, even when she barely replied. You wanted her to feel secure, to know you were different from the rest. But deep down, something kept breaking inside you, because no matter how much you gave, it never seemed to be enough. Here's the hard truth. Effort doesn't create desire. You can't make someone fall in love through consistency alone. You can earn appreciation, sure, but appreciation is not attraction. And when a woman starts to feel you're doing everything just to keep her, she doesn't feel loved. She feels pressured. Think about it. When someone gives you something you didn't ask for over and over, doesn't it start to lose meaning? It stops being a gift and starts feeling like a transaction. That's what happens when your kindness becomes a negotiation for loyalty. The Stoics warned us, attachment creates suffering. When you do good expecting a specific outcome, you've already given away your power. Because now your peace depends on something you can't control, another person's emotions. You think love is sacrifice. You think if you just prove you're the good man, she'll never leave. But women don't stay because of your sacrifice. They stay because of how you make them feel when you're around them. And here's where most men lose it. They confuse effort with energy. Effort is physical. Time calls gifts words. Energy is spiritual. It's how grounded, centered, and confident you are. When your energy says, I need you, you push her away. But when it says, I choose you, but I'm fine without you, she's drawn closer. Here's the paradox of attraction. The more you try to hold on, the faster it slips through your hands. Because real attraction is never built through effort. It's built through presence. Presence is when you're fully yourself, when you're not trying to perform, impress, or convince. He smiles nervously, tells another joke, searching her eyes for approval. She laughs, but her body is already gone. That's the moment most men never notice. The silent shift when she stops being inspired by your energy and starts feeling suffocated by it. Because when you overgive, you stop being a mystery. And mystery is oxygen for attraction. Without it, even the deepest affection begins to fade. You see, women don't fall for men who try to convince them. They fall for men who live in alignment. A man who gives not because he's afraid of losing her, but because generosity is simply part of his nature. A man who can walk away, not out of pride, but out of peace. That's the Stoic man. He doesn't give to manipulate emotion. He gives because it's who he is, and when it's no longer received with gratitude, he stops. Not from bitterness, but from understanding. He's no longer chasing her texts, no longer replaying her words in his mind, because now he knows love without self-respect is just attachment disguised as care. Epictetus once said, "Seek not that events should happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and your life will flow smoothly." It means stop trying to control outcomes. Stop trying to fix how others feel about you. Instead, focus on what you can control, your attitude, your discipline, your emotional state. That's where real peace begins. Each moment, he's reclaiming his focus. Each action says, my worth isn't tied to her response. That's masculine energy at its core. Not arrogance, not detachment, but balance. Because here's the truth. When you stop chasing, you stop bleeding energy. You stop living for her reaction and start living from your own purpose. and something powerful happens. The same woman who once pulled away starts to feel your absence. Not because you're playing games, but because she can sense the shift in your energy. You're no longer the man begging for attention. You've become the man she has to earn presence from. And that's when loyalty begins. Not through manipulation, but through magnetism. Because nothing is more attractive than a man who can love deeply and still let go gracefully. So if you're sitting there wondering why your effort isn't enough, stop trying to do more. Start focusing on being more. More grounded, more calm, more complete on your own. The truth is, women don't fall in love with what you give. They fall in love with how they feel when they're with you. Free, feminine, safe. And that feeling only exists when you're stable in who you are. So remember this. Effort without energy creates pressure. Energy without need creates peace. And peace is the foundation of true attraction. Because in the next chapter, we'll uncover what women are actually loyal to. The one thing that makes them stay, even when everything else fades. Let's get to the truth most men never discover until it's too late. Women are not loyal to your effort, your money, or your words. They're loyal to one thing. How they feel when they're around you. That feeling is the heartbeat of attraction. It's the invisible thread that connects emotion to presence. You can't buy it, fake it, or text it into existence. You become it. When a woman is with you, she's not analyzing your resume. She's reading your energy. She's asking questions she'll never say out loud. Does he make me feel safe? Do I feel alive next to him? Can I trust his direction? That's why two men can say the exact same words, yet get two completely different reactions. One sounds needy, the other sounds powerful. The difference isn't the line, it's the energy behind it. Here's what you have to understand. Feelings are contagious. When you're calm, she feels calm. When you're confident, she feels drawn in. But when you're anxious, unsure, or desperate to prove your worth, she feels it immediately, and her attraction begins to fade. The Stoics called this apatheia. Not apathy, but emotional equilibrium. It means nothing outside you can shake your inner peace unless you allow it. That's power. Not because he doesn't care, but because he's learned to stay centered no matter what storm comes. This is the energy women are loyal to. The man who can lead emotion, not get lost in it. Most men respond to a woman's emotions like a mirror. When she's upset, they panic. When she pulls away, they chase. But the grounded man does the opposite. He holds his frame. He listens, breathes, and remains composed. Because a woman doesn't test you to destroy you. She tests you to trust you. She's asking, can you lead me through my chaos without losing yourself? When you react emotionally, she loses faith in your strength. But when you stay calm, she feels something rare, security. And once a woman feels safe in your energy, loyalty becomes effortless. That's emotional leadership, not control, not dominance. Leadership. You don't need to be rich, tall, or famous to embody it. You just need to be anchored. Because the truth is, women are not loyal to the man who gives the most. They're loyal to the man who gives without fear of losing her. Think about that. When your actions are driven by fear, she feels it. When your actions are driven by peace, she trusts it. It's not about pretending to be detached. It's about genuinely being complete on your own. The Stoics had a phrase, he who is enslaved to his emotions is ruled by others. So when your mood depends on her texts, her tone, or her attention, you're not in control. You're being ruled. But when you can stand still in rejection, breathe through tension, and choose peace over reaction, you become the man every woman feels safe around. That's the secret most men miss. Loyalty is not earned through effort. It's inspired through energy. Because here's what really happens. A woman might meet a man who gives her everything, but if she doesn't feel peace around him, she'll drift away. Then she'll meet another man who gives her very little, but she'll feel calm, alive, drawn in, and she won't know why. It's because her body recognizes something ancient, stability. That's what women are truly loyal to. The feeling of emotional safety wrapped inside mystery and strength. Every woman wants to feel feminine, to feel that she can surrender without losing herself. But she can only do that when she trusts your presence. When your energy says, no matter what happens, I'm good. That's when her loyalty stops being a decision and becomes an instinct. Because peace is addictive, confidence is magnetic, and emotional balance is rare. Most men chase women, but the Stoic man, he attracts. He doesn't do more, he is more. His silence carries weight. His calmness speaks louder than any compliment. And when she feels that energy, that quiet confidence that doesn't need validation, she aligns herself with it. Not because you forced it, but because your presence gave her permission to trust again. So when people tell you, just keep trying, remember this, it's not about trying harder. It's about being deeper. You can lose everything material and still keep the one thing that makes women loyal, your inner peace. Because peace creates attraction, purpose sustains it, and presence makes it unforgettable. So know, what you do for her doesn't matter nearly as much as who you are while doing it. When you become the man who moves from purpose instead of fear, your energy becomes the thing she's loyal to. Because women may love words, but they commit to presence. But how do you build that kind of presence? The kind that never breaks, no matter who leaves? That's what we'll uncover next. There comes a moment when every man reaches his breaking point, when silence feels heavier than words, and the weight of carrying too much finally collapses in on itself. That's when something shifts. You stop asking, why doesn't she love me? And start asking, why do I keep giving my power away? This is where transformation begins, not in revenge, not in bitterness, but in awakening. Because the truth is, you can't control love. You can only control how you show up to it. And that's what the Stoics mastered, the art of emotional control, the discipline of peace in a chaotic world. The Stoic man doesn't chase happiness. He builds harmony. He knows emotions are like storms. They come, they pass, but they don't have to move him. He doesn't suppress them. He observes them. He watches anger rise, disappointment sting, temptation whisper, and then he breathes. Because reaction is weakness, but response is power. That's emotional leadership. That's mastery. The Stoics taught that peace is not found in control of others, but in control of self. You can't make her text you back. You can't make her respect you. But you can master how you respond, with calm, confidence, and grace. And here's the paradox. The moment you no longer need control, you gain it. When you stop reacting to her moods, she starts reacting to your stability. When you stop chasing her attention, she starts seeking your presence. Because now, you're not just a man in love, you're a man rooted in purpose. And purpose changes everything. You see, emotional control isn't about denying your feelings. It's about directing them. Use your pain as fuel. Use silence as strength. Turn rejection into reflection, and reflection into resilience. Because once you master your emotions, you become untouchable. Not cold, not heartless, simply in command. Imagine this. She pulls away. The old you panics. You text, call, question everything. But the new you? He breathes. He doesn't chase. He doesn't crumble. He smiles because he knows that no one can take from him what he doesn't depend on. That's the Stoic difference. The average man feels rejection and lets it define him. The Stoic man feels it and uses it to refine him. Every moment of silence becomes an opportunity to strengthen your center. Every disappointment becomes training for the next storm. Because here's the truth. The world will always test your emotional foundation. Women will test it. Life will test it. But the Stoic welcomes the test. He sees it not as punishment, but as preparation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That is the essence of masculine peace. When you stop being ruled by what's external, you become the ruler of yourself. Each act of self-mastery is a brick in the fortress of your mind. And soon, that fortress becomes unshakable. The same things that used to trigger you, silence, rejection, misunderstanding, no longer do. Because you've detached your worth from outcomes. Now your worth is internal, stable, immovable. That's when you become truly magnetic. Because women can sense that energy. They feel your calm in their chaos. They feel your peace in their storm. And they begin to trust you without words. This is what real leadership looks like. Not dominance, not control, but influence through presence. And that's the irony. When you stop trying to make her stay, she often chooses to. Because your energy gives her what no gift or word ever could, emotional safety. But even if she doesn't, you remain whole. Because the Stoic man doesn't depend on anyone to feel peace. He carries peace with him in every argument, every heartbreak, every loss. Emotional control is not about denying that you care. It's about caring with awareness, loving without losing yourself, feeling deeply, but never letting emotion dictate your direction. That's real strength. That's Stoicism in motion. And here's the beauty. Once you master emotional control, you stop competing. You stop comparing. You stop needing. Because you've built something most people spend their lives searching for, inner peace. And that peace doesn't just attract women. It attracts opportunity, respect, freedom. Because when you can't be shaken, you can't be controlled. And in a world full of noise, that makes you rare. So let this be your shift. Stop chasing love through effort. Start cultivating it through energy. Stop seeking loyalty from others. Start building it within yourself. Because when you master your emotions, you master your reality. And the man who rules himself rules everything around him. But there's still one truth left. What happens when the same woman who once left comes back? How does the Stoic respond when the past knocks again? That's what comes next. You've been taught to believe that love is proven through sacrifice. That if you give enough, she'll stay. If you love harder, she'll choose you. But what if I told you, loyalty doesn't belong to emotion. It belongs to energy. Because emotions fade, energy doesn't. When a woman connects with your energy, your purpose, your groundedness, your peace, she doesn't stay for what you give, she stays for what you are. And that's the part most men never understand. You can buy her flowers, take her places, promise her the world, but if your energy screams neediness, she'll feel it. If your purpose feels lost, she'll sense it before you even speak. You see, energy speaks louder than words, louder than money, louder than promises. It's the quiet signal of who you are when no one's watching. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are desperate, your presence becomes heavy. If your mind is grounded, your presence becomes magnetic. She doesn't fall in love with your effort. She falls in love with how she feels when she's around you. Your calm, your focus, your inner peace. That's the loyalty trigger. Because women aren't loyal to men who do the most. They're loyal to men who make them feel safe without trying. And safety doesn't come from control. It comes from self-control. When you stop chasing her validation, something powerful happens. She starts chasing your presence. Not because she misses the attention, but because your energy has changed. You've become the calm in the storm. And suddenly, she's drawn back. But this time, you're not waiting. You've learned. You've evolved. You've realized that true strength isn't in holding on. It's in letting go without resentment. That's the Stoic truth, freedom through detachment. Because love without freedom is not love, it's possession. And you can't possess someone whose loyalty is tied to your energy, not your effort. You begin to understand it was never about what you did for her. It was about how you made her feel, not through words, but through your stillness. Every time you chased, you told her subconsciously, "My peace depends on you." Every time you detach with love, you said, "My peace comes from within." That's the difference between attraction and attachment, between love and dependence. When you stop needing someone to validate your worth, you become the kind of man no one can ignore. Because confidence isn't loud. It's silent. It's in your eyes. It's in your posture. It's in your ability to walk away from what doesn't serve you and never look back. The Stoics would remind you, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. The pain you felt wasn't from her leaving, it was from the story you told yourself, that you weren't enough. But you were never supposed to be enough for her. You were supposed to be complete within yourself. So now you stop asking, why wasn't she loyal to me? And instead, you ask, was I loyal to myself? Because when you're loyal to your growth, your discipline, your peace, the right woman won't need convincing. She'll feel it, and she'll stay not because you gave her everything, but because you've mastered the one thing she's truly loyal to, your energy. So, let her walk if she must. Let her go if she chooses. Not every departure is a loss. Sometimes, it's the space you need to return home to yourself. Because the man who can sit in silence, who can walk alone without bitterness, who can rebuild without noise, that man doesn't chase love. He attracts it, and when love comes again, it will recognize your energy instantly. Not the version that begged to be chosen, but the version that chose himself. What you do for women doesn't really matter. What matters is who you become when they leave. Because that's when you discover the truth. She was never the test. You were. At the end of it all, you realize something simple, yet life-changing. It was never about her. It was about you. Every heartbreak, every silence, every unanswered message, it was life's way of teaching you what no one else could. To stop begging for loyalty from others and start being loyal to your own peace. The Stoics said, "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior." And now, you finally understand. You don't need her to stay to find peace. You only need to stay grounded in who you are. Because what you do for women doesn't really matter. What matters is what you do for your soul. Once you master that, everything else, love, loyalty, connection, will follow naturally. If this message reached you, don't scroll past. Subscribe and join thousands of men learning to think, love, and live like Stoics. Because peace isn't found in a reply. It's found in your silence.